Yo, man. Hey, I hear somebody.
So last night he used him. Honestly, nothing better than.
I mean, I guess it's
Also, I'm just.
What do you do in Israel? You're a musician. What kind of music? Progressive rock. So it's like Free Palestine. That's progressive. I mean, yo, this set peaked just then. I'm pretty good at comedy, but I can't think of anything better than that happening in the next 2 to 3 minutes. That was fucking crazy. I can't believe I just thought of that. That was pretty. I'm impressed with myself. I'll take it. No, I don't usually take applause for it. That was pretty. What do you do in Israel? You're a musician. What kind of music? Progressive rock. So it's like Free Palestine. That's progressive. I mean, yo, this set peaked just then. I'm pretty good at comedy, but I can't think of anything better than that happening in the next 2 to 3 minutes. That was fucking crazy. I can't believe I just thought of that. That was pretty. I'm impressed with myself. I'll take it. No, I don't usually take applause for it. That was pretty. What do you do in Israel? You're a musician. What kind of music? Progressive rock. So it's like Free Palestine. That's progressive.
I hope you're having fun, by the way, going through every old tweet that I've ever sent to try and do gotcha questions. I find this whole thing a waste of time. If you want to read the book and critique the book, why don't you read and critique the book? If you want to critique me, you can think whatever you want of me.
Frankly,
I don't care. I don't frankly give a damn what you think of me since I've never heard of you.
And I've never heard of you until I briefed myself for
I'm
this.
not inclined to continue an interview with a person as badly motivated as you as an interviewer. So I think we're done here. I appreciate your time.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is wild. Ben Shapiro sat down with veteran journalist Andrew for what was supposed to be a serious interview about his new book, but it quickly derailed, all because Andrew started reading Ben's old tweets back to him. That's right. The moment Andrew pulled up a few past statements, Ben got defensive fast. He accused Andrew of playing gotcha journalism, claimed nobody's ever heard of him, and within minutes, walked out of the interview. It gets intense, awkward, and honestly a little funny. So stick around to the...
I've got a bad feeling about this. New, our newest collection of Star Wars coffee by Bones Coffee. Click the link for the greatest coffee in the galaxy and rebel against morning coffee.
iPhone 16 in a mouse deck, and this is the final score, 40-40. We should
And hey, we're just getting started here. So if you can, hit that like button and subscribe to support the channel. All right, let's get into it.
Some of the ideas that are popular in your side of politics would seem to take us back to the Dark Ages, Georgia, new abortion laws, which you are much in favor of, that a woman who miscarries could get 30 years. A Georgian woman who travels to another state for an abortion procedure could get 10 years. These are extreme hard policies.
Well, okay, a couple of things. One, I'm not sure. I mean, frankly, I don't know whether are you an objective journalist or are you an opinion journalist?
I'm a journalist that asks questions.
Okay, so you're a supposedly objective journalist calling policies with which you disagree barbaric and suggesting only one side of the political aisle has ideas. So I just want to point out that I wish you would at least be honest in your own biases.
Mr. Shapiro,
are you a member of
broadcasting in America is now so polarized that on one program you only have the left and another one you just have the right. My job is to question those who have strong views and put an alternative to them. If you were an anti-abortion person, I would be putting pro-abortion questions to you. But you are
Really,
an
would you call the
anti-abortion
pro-choice
person.
position?
So why don't
so
you
let me
just
ask you
answer
this.
my question?
Sir, I'm happy to answer your question. Please
You go
answer
then.
this one. Would you suggest that a late-term abortion is brutal?
I'm not taking a
Is it
view
a
on
brutal
this issue.
policy
I'm
to allow
asking
late-term
you the
abortion?
questions.
Sir, you just suggested that the pro-life position is inherently brutal and terrible, so I'm asking you, as an objective journalist, would you ask the same question to a pro-choice advocate by calling their position brutal
What
and
I'm
immoral?
asking you is that why is it that a bill banning abortions after a woman has been pregnant for 6 weeks is not a return to the Dark Ages? What's your answer?
My answer is something called science. Human life exists at conception. It ought to be protected. Now, back to my question to you. You purport to be an objective journalist. BBC purports to be an objective down-the-middle network. It obviously is not. It never has been. And you, as a journalist, are proceeding to call one side of the political aisle ignorant, barbaric, and sending us back to the Dark Ages. Why don't you just say that you're on the left? Is this so hard for you? Why can't you just be honest?
Mr.
Seriously,
Shapiro,
it's a serious question.
Mr. Shapiro, if you only knew how ridiculous that statement is, you wouldn't have said it.
What Ben is so funny sometimes. Look, he's trying to accuse Andrew Neil of being some partisan activist. Andrew Neil. If you don't know who this is, he literally ran The Spectator, which is a conservative publication that's like calling a lifelong Republican a progressive socialist. It's not just incorrect, it's completely backwards. And when Neil calmly responds, Mr. Shapiro, if you only knew how ridiculous that statement is, you can practically feel the awkwardness through the screen. Look, this isn't really about political science. Accountability versus deflection. Ben walked into this interview expecting to control the conversation, but instead of defending his position on what's obviously a controversial topic, he decided to attack the person asking the question. That strategy tells you everything you need to know. You see what's happening here? He's trying to create a false choice. Either you agree with his stance completely, or you're automatically biased against him. But good journalism doesn't work that way. You can ask tough questions about any policy without having a hidden agenda. That's literally the job. So in my opinion, this clip shows exactly what happens when prepared talking points meet actual scrutiny, the deflection, the personal attacks, the refusal to engage with the substance. It's all textbook deflection tactics. But this time, it didn't work. What do you think? Did Ben make his case here, or did Andrew Neil do exactly what a journalist should do? Drop a like if you're tired of seeing real questions get dodged with personal attacks, and make sure to subscribe for more breakdowns like this. All right, let's keep watching.
Now, you're a star of new media, conservative new media. You and others on the left and the right, you position yourselves as supposed tellers of hard truths. But haven't you all just really coarsened public discourse in America and exacerbated its divisions?
You know, it's kind of odd to be hearing about me coarsening public discourse when you call policies you disagree with brutal and bringing us back to the Dark Ages, sir.
The point, I don't want to return to, but the point was to put a position for you to reply to it. And I thought we covered that.
I think
some of the points too, because on
your characterization of issues is part of the problem in the coarsening of public debate.
Well, maybe it's also part of your problem too, because we have from your YouTube videos, Ben Shapiro destroys the abortion argument. Ben Shapiro destroys transgenderism and abortion. Is that not a kind of coarse public discourse?
Well, are those videos labeled by me?
I have no idea.
Why are you picking out? Why are you? I have a question. Why are you picking out random YouTube videos put up by people who are not me?
Are you
attributing the titles to me?
Are you unhappy with the way they've been described?
I think that people can describe me however they please. It's a free country, and I'm all in favor of a public debate. If you watch the actual clips, they are generally civil conversations between me and somebody who disagrees with me.
You say in your new book, you suggest that America's largest struggle at the moment is, quote, the struggle for our national soul. We are so angry at each other right now. And I think that's true. I've just returned from the United States. But aren't you part of the problem with the way you go about your discourse, not the solution?
And I think we can all do better in our discourse, but the fact that I've reached out to so many people across the aisle with them is pretty evident. The fact that I was willing to walk from a publication that was paying me money over principle is pretty evident.
You was up late last night, my guy. Well, late for me. I sat in there with you for a minute. It was like, for me, it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock. Got off the stream at like 11. Yeah, I seen it. I was like, man, my man's just up, getting them strokes in. Let me get a few more strokes before I close my eyes. I feel like I get a few more strokes in. You know, burning the oil last night. I love it. Some motherfuckers get bored. He said, then I made dinner late. Oh my God, I was super tired after that. Yo. Some people be sitting around bored. They'll get on their phone for hours at a time or start watching TV or some dumbass shit. Artists, if we get too bored, we can just go paint for a little while. Fuck it. Damn, I got up at 10. Well, that seemed like enough sleep. But depending on, yeah, what time you went to sleep, actually. 10 o'clock ain't too bad. Had to sleep in a little bit. I do that grocery thing, man. I hate grocery shopping.
The fact that I've called out President Trump, a member of a party of which I am a member, repeatedly when I think that he has done things that are immoral, I think is decent evidence that I'm looking at least for a civil conversation.
Well, as you say in your book, you say that this is quite a key phrase, we are so angry at each other right now. But as I say, aren't you part of that anger? Aren't you encouraging that anger? For example, you described Mr. Obama's State of the Union address in 2012 as fascist mentality in action.
Well, I think that if you want to argue with the characterization, then we can talk about what exactly his State of the Union address said. Is it charged language in politics? Sure. The problem that I have is not with charged language in politics, which I'm generally in favor of. I like a robust public debate and a very loud and spirited public debate. I have no problem with that whatsoever. What I'm talking about is the assumption that people with whom we disagree politically are inherently of bad character, or in your words, want to bring us back to the Dark Ages.
But again, it was your description of the State of the Union address in 2012 as fascist.
The wording of President Trump's 2012 address was bad and wrong.
That's all. There are plenty of things that are bad and wrong, but it doesn't make them fascist.
Well, I suppose that's true. But if you would like to, again, if you'd like to read me the column out loud, I suppose I can critique it for you.
I mean, I guess.
Also, I hope you're having fun, by the way, going through every old tweet that I've ever sent to try and do gotcha questions. But if you'd like to have a discussion about my general philosophy or things I've done in, say, I don't know, that's 2012. So.
This is where things get really interesting. You can literally watch Ben Shapiro's whole demeanor shift. He goes from confident debater to visibly frustrated, and it's fascinating to see in real time. Ben starts hitting back with, I hope you're having fun going through every old tweet I've ever sent, and you can hear the defensiveness creeping in. In my view, that's not the tone of someone who's comfortable with their track record. That's someone who clearly wasn't expecting this level of scrutiny. Here's what's wild, though. Andrew Neil isn't even being aggressive. He's literally just doing what every good journalist should do, taking your own public statements and asking, do you still believe this? In my opinion, that's not a gotcha moment. It's basic accountability journalism. When you've built your entire brand on being the facts and logic guy, you don't get to act surprised when someone actually quotes your own facts back to you. It's like being a professional critic and then getting upset when someone reviews your work. That's literally how this works. But Ben doesn't want to engage with that. Instead, he tries the "you're just digging through my old content" defense, which is interesting. In my view, if you're going to make your living as a public commentator, your public comments are fair game. That's not persecution. That's the job description. What really gets me is when Ben tries to redirect. If you'd like to have a discussion about my general philosophy, translation, Can we please talk about something where I get to control the narrative again? You can see exactly what's happening here. In my opinion, Ben walked into this expecting a friendly chat, maybe some softball questions that got a journalist who actually did his homework. And when that happens, the whole calm destroyer of arguments persona starts to crack. The shift is so obvious. 1 minute, he's the confident debater. The next, he's complaining about being held accountable for things he said publicly. In my view, it's like watching someone realize mid-conversation that they're not the main character in the story. What do you think? Is this just good journalism, or did Neil cross a line? And here's the bigger question. If you make your living off strong public statements, should those statements be off limits later? Let me know in the comments. And if you're enjoying this video, smash that like and subscribe. All right, let's get back into the video.
Because your book is a criticism of how angry America is and how America has to do better. And I'm simply
I have
trying
an
to
entire
point
list
out,
on my website, sir. On my list, I have an entire website of dumb and
I'm
bad
simply
things
trying
that
to
I've
point
said.
out some of the things you've said that seem to me to help to stoke that anger. For example, you said
Sure.
Israelis like to build, Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage.
Well, as I say in an article entitled, here's a list of all the giant, bad, dumb things I've ever said.
Was that
list
dumb?
includes- But yes, that's a dumb tweet. And not only, but it is also important to mention that the next few tweets clarify that that tweet is specifically referring to the Hamas leadership, which, by the way, a BBC I've seen is relatively reticent to condemn.
No, actually, it wasn't. What you went on to do and say, you are correct about the slur on Arabs. It's not all Arabs that want to live in open sewage and blow things up. It's just Palestinians, you went on to say.
No, it said no. It said no.
And
It's
then
just
you
the ones
said-
who take sides
And then you
against
said
Israel
the
and the
Palestinian
Israel-Palestinian
Arab
conflict.
population is rotten to the core, you went on to say. Not
I say
Hamas, the
yeah, I say by
Palestinian
poll-
Arab population.
I say that by poll numbers, they elected Hamas. They elected Hamas. They educate their children in school that Israel should be obliterated, sir.
I guess
If you want to read, honestly, this is a giant waste of time in the sense that the entire interview is designed for you to shout slogans or old things that I've said at me. I don't see how this words the debate. You talk about undermining the public discourse. It seems to me that simply going through and finding lone things that sound bad out of context and then hitting people with them is a way for you to make a quick buck on BBC off the fact that I'm popular and no one has ever heard of you.
there are not many bucks to be made on the BBC, unlike American broadcasting, Mr. Shapiro. The point
You're
I'm
getting
trying to
paid,
make
too.
is that your words are highly designed to produce the consensus and understanding that the book seems to want to produce. That's my point, that you write about Judeo-Christian culture and so on, but so much of what you've said in the past would seem to turn its back on Judeo-Christian culture.
You're lecturing me on Judeo-Christian culture after you call the pro-life position barbaric?
I just asked
Really?
you a question.
And I asked you a question, you failed to answer a single one of mine. Frankly, I find this whole thing a waste of time. If you want to read the book and critique the book, why don't you read and critique the book? If you want to critique me, you can think whatever you want of me.
Why don't you just
Frankly,
try and
I don't
answer
care.
the
I don't
questions?
frankly give a damn what you think of me since I've never heard of you.
And I've never heard of you until I briefed myself for this, but that's not the issue. You haven't
Then why the hell
book
are you
out,
interviewing
and it's an interesting book. But my point is, your book claims that
Well, it'd be nice if you would
society,
quote it from time to time.
your book is, well, actually, I've done so several times, and I'm about to do so again, if you would let me just finish the question. Your book
frankly, I don't
claims
think
that
it's- you know what?
society
Honestly-
is turning its
honestly,
back
sir.
on Judeo-Christian values.
Yeah, this is,
What are
considering
those
what,
values?
considering what,
What are the values it's turning its back on?
I'm not inclined to continue an interview with a person as badly motivated as you as an interviewer. So I think we're done here. I appreciate your time.
All right. Well, thank you for your time and for showing that anger is not part of American political discourse. Now, Mr. Shapiro, we'll say goodbye.
Here's what makes it so incredible. Andrew didn't even raise his voice. He didn't interrupt. He didn't attack. He literally just quoted Ben's own public statements back to him and asked if they matched his values. Ben responded. He accuses Andrew of trying to make a quick buck off the BBC and drops this gem. No one has ever heard of you. In my opinion, this is the exact moment the facts over feelings guy starts running purely on emotion. That's not debate strategy. That's middle school comeback energy. I'm more famous than you isn't a counter argument. It's desperation. Then it gets even more interesting. Andrew points out this contradiction. Ben claims to represent certain moral values, but some of his public statements seem to contradict those same principles. Instead of addressing that critique, Ben just escalates. I don't give a damn what you think of me, he says, followed by, I've never heard of you. That's not engaging with the argument, that's just wounded pride talking. Here's what this really reveals. If your entire brand is built on being the cool, rational truth teller, but the moment someone quotes your own words, you melt down and storm off. Maybe it was always just performance art. Did this expose something real, or was Andrew being unfair? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns that go beyond the surface level takes, smash that like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.
Shapiro seemed pretty sensitive on that one, man. And I'm not a giant Shapiro fan, but I definitely listen to the Daily Wire a lot. Michael Knowles. First, it was Ben Shapiro, Candace Owen, Michael Knowles, and I can't think of the other guy name. You know, but their whole cast for the Daily Wire were very devout, religious people, and I don't know. I just like hearing every side of the story. And so yeah, I did listen to a lot of Shapiro, but now I can see like more and more when you talk about Israel, the people who really support Israel, man, they don't got no time for that shit. They don't want to debate. They don't really want to discuss that shit because they know they in the wrong.
$50 influencer delegations to Israel by the end of the year because they really don't understand how this works anymore. American dignity is not for sale. And any young influencer that takes this paycheck, they only sell themselves and their future out. No one is interested in hearing someone shill paid talking points anymore, and we all see through it. So if you are a young influencer, even if you support Israel, don't do this, because we will all see through you, and you will tarnish your entire future on the internet if you take this money.
Information is the oxygen of the democracy.
So sick we can't talk.
Because now we have the.
As an owner of Walton Goggins goggle glasses,
Walton
I know how to
Goggins
make
goggle
slick-looking
glasses.
glasses.
Goggle/glasses.
Right? We can see what's happening. Another poll, this one by the Israel Democracy Institute, found that 67% of all Israelis are not troubled by people in Gaza starving to death. And you can see on the chart how Jewish identity is deeply tied into that perspective, as Jews, for obvious reasons, answered way higher than their Arab counterparts. It's completely inverse. The Arabs are obviously very concerned about the people starving to death in Gaza. And 55.6% of the Jewish people said that they are not at all troubled by it. God's chosen people seem incredibly unbothered by everyone else, particularly non-Jews, starving to death. This week, we also had Bibi Netanyahu come out and just outright on Fox News say that Israel will be reoccupying Gaza and taking the land. I mean, turning it over to civilian governance. Right. Not even going to get into it. There's so many other things that he lied about in that interview that is just, I'm over it. I'm over interfacing with Israeli doublespeak that are just lies, like lie after lie after lie after lie. It is exhausting. Also this week, Trump moved to ban DEI on university campuses, except in regard to Jews. You know, like facts don't care about your feelings unless your feelings are Jewish. And Glenn Greenwald, a prominent Jew in the media, called this out. It is so bizarre that many on the right claim that the Trump admin is destroying DEI at universities. They are doing so for every group except the favored one. To serve U.S.'s one sole oppressed minority group, American Jews. Look at what they're forcing Brown to do. For them only. Brown, item A right here. Brown is committed to taking significant, proactive, effective steps to combat anti-Semitism and ensure a campus environment free from harassment and discrimination. These shall include actions to support a thriving Jewish community, research and education about Israel, and a robust program in Judaic studies through outreach to Jewish days. Provide information about applying to Brown, resources for religiously observant Jewish community members, renewed partnerships with Israeli academics and national Jewish organizations, support for enhanced security at the Brown RISD Hillel, and a convening of alumni, students, and faculty to celebrate 130 years.
Hey, Wendy, Brown, enjoy your rest.
Conduct a survey in 2025 to evaluate the campus climate for Brown students, including the climate for students with shared Jewish ancestry, and evaluate social media harassment. The United States and Brown shall jointly choose this external party. So they're going to do a big survey and ask students at the bottom here whether they feel welcome at Brown, whether they feel safe reporting anti-Semitism at Brown, whether they believe Brown has responded appropriately to reports of alleged anti-Semitic conduct. We're going to do all these surveys and studies to make sure that Jewish students at Brown are feeling safe and good. And just, which is like, yeah, it would be like, yeah, let's not threaten people. Like, let's all feel safe. Agreed. But in the same document, Brown shall not maintain programs that promote unlawful efforts to achieve race-based outcomes, quotas, diversity targets, or similar efforts. Brown will cease any provisions of benefits or advantages to individuals on the basis of protected characteristics in any school, component, division, department, foundation, association, or element within the entire Brown University system, unless you're Jewish, right? So we're all done with DEI. DEI, no more. No more discrimination and special treatment for protected groups. Now we will be basing everything on merit. Except if you're Jewish. We'll double down on special treatment for Jewish students because we are to believe that somehow Jewish people are the victims of some global evil force. Somehow Jews are disadvantaged and need protection, despite our own eyes clearly showing us that Jews are currently the most privileged and protected group on the planet, certainly in America, right? This group that is wildly overrepresented in banking and media and tech, and like, cool, sure, more power to you. Just don't say that you're, a victim. Last week, we talked about how a national coalition of billionaires and politicians mobilized to destroy the life of a girl in Florida that got in an argument with a Jew on campus. This group, who is getting speech laws passed in America to ban everyone from saying anything mean about them, or even anything that's just true, but could be construed as inconvenient or critical of them or the state of Israel, right? And last week, Congress called recess and ran off as fast as possible to avoid voting on Massey's bill to unseal the Epstein documents. No time to vote on that. Congress needs to go on vacation and spend time in their districts with their constituents. And so they all flew to Israel to presumably film a gangbang with Bibi Netanyahu. I mean, seriously, this isn't normal. Find me an example of this ever happening before in American history. Since when did our whole government go on field trips together to any of our allies like this? Like even to Canada or Great Britain?
I get my daily greens, essential vitamins, and micronutrients in about 5 seconds. I train 6 days a week and run a business, so I eat to perform. I eat single whole ingredient foods and still have micronutrient gaps. So that's where these little gummy bears come in. Bruins get all of my greens and my fruits.
Right? Like the bribes and the propaganda and the blackmail that we all know is involved in this visit and this allegiance. This is treason. And everyone in this photo should stand trial. Israel is not our ally, and America didn't vote for you to look out for another nation's interests before our own. This is the elephant in the room. This is the state of American politics today. The JQ is going mainstream because of shit like this. The conversation is here. You can have it or you can hide from it. But while you hide from it, Americans are having it without you. Nick Fuentes is leading the conversation with or without the rest of the American media. The Charlie Kirks and Tucker Carlsons can continue the current strategy of ostracizing Nick Fuentes and pushing him out of the conversation, out of the space, out of the accepted, right? But more and more, the American public is listening to Nick. And with no one willing to take on his points in an open debate, more and more people are seeing Nick as the underdog and as the true voice of America, as the real America first. As for me, like, I'll continue listening to everyone and thinking for myself. I don't agree with everything Nick says, just like I don't agree with everything that Candace or Tucker says, right? But I continue to admire and respect everyone involved immensely, right? I hope Tucker takes Nick up on his offer to sit down for a conversation. I think that would be one of the most impactful interviews of 2025. I doubt it'll happen, not just for bad reasons, like just there's lots of reasons. I doubt it'll happen. But I know that America wants to see it. Because ultimately, we're over the gatekeeping. We're over the coddling of the American mind. We all have to think for ourselves every day already. We were raised doing that. Gen Z grew up on the internet. The guardrails are long gone, and it is an outdated reflex to try to hold on. We're ready for the real conversation about Israel. And I'm proud of the part that I've played in opening up that conversation to the mainstream, like talking about Epstein and Pizzagate on Rogan, and ratioing Elon Musk over Israel, reporting for 2 years now about Israel and all of their dirty tricks. I am super proud to be a part of the conversation. But let's not kid ourselves. Nick has been the one leading the conversation for almost a decade now. Nick really is the conversation. And to try to pretend otherwise feels at best out of touch and far more often like an agenda. An agenda that is slipping away more and more every day. And so I know that Candace and Tucker both have a little bit of personal baggage on the line. They both feel like they've been wronged or attacked or insulted by Nick Fuentes. And I know that Nick Fuentes feels similarly towards each of them. But I would hope that everyone involved hopefully put some of that personal stuff aside and engage as openly and decently and genuinely as possible. Because this is not a conversation about personal baggage. It is not a conversation about he shed, she shed, This is a conversation about America and about the future of America. And it's a conversation that will either make or break our nation. And if we get through this conversation righteously and honestly and to the truth, that might truly save America from the disastrous course of world. And if this conversation is obfuscated or avoided or deflected or taken over by the factions that have controlled it for so long, I'm not sure there's any coming back from the next steps down into technocracy and centralized government. So it really matters. And I really hope that everyone out there that's involved in the conversation, whether you're Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Joe Rogan, Nick Fuentes, media, in the alt media, the main media, whatever, or if you're just an anon on Twitter, if you're just a random regular person, I hope that we can all put our best foot forward and engage in this conversation earnestly and openly, without bringing our baggage and our hurt and our, personal stuff. Because it really does feel like this is the conversation, and this is the time, and this is the place, and it's happening. And yeah, I hope it goes well. If it doesn't, what the fuck?
Information is the oxygen of the democracy.
Progressives, libertarians, because this is not about right and left, this is about right and wrong.
So sick we can't talk.
Our security is at stake. Everyone's out here with their little 20-watt chargers, but this bad boy, it's got 100. Yeah, twins power.
I mean, some people don't think they got the power to do it, but I think Hollywood and Kanye brothers, Jewish people who's in leadership positions have destroyed the black. Their culture is so fucked up, And it's all from the movies, the music. I mean, the black community was not back in like when this country had their own shit. Yeah, like when this country was actually specifically racist, didn't look that bad, didn't even hate. I think black people look their best. It's like since the civil rights movement, it's like everything's been down.
Well, they were behind that. The Jewish people were leading the charge, and I don't think that they ever had black people's best interest in mind, or any of these groups for that matter, because there was an interesting article in the Atlantic a few weeks ago. It's at the end of the Jewish Golden Age, and it talked about how the Jewish people 100 years ago were the biggest opponents of the Christian religion in the States. Why do you think that is? Because if the state is Christian, it would be a little bit exclusionary towards Jews who aren't Christian.
Right.
They were also the biggest advocates of the civil rights movement. Why? Because the more tolerant that America is, the more liberal, the more open it is, safer they are. If it's a country that's all about Europeans and Christians, well, Jews are neither European nor are they Christian. They're not racially or ethnically European. They're not religiously Christian. So they sort of used black civil rights. They used women's suffrage. They used the anti-establishment clause, basically to undermine American civil society, to make it a place that is more hospitable to their own people. And they freely admit this in this article and in other places. And it's a very simple sort of calculation. The more closed America is, the more inhospitable it is to Jewish people. The more open it is, the more multicultural, the more fluid, whatever you want to say, the less religious, the less homogeneous, the more hospitable it is to them and them having power.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm all for freedom of speech, but if we don't stand under the same morals, the same guidelines, the same, and then people come and exploit our freedoms, destroy our country. I think that's like, I could be black, I could be black, Christian. The Jew, that's not a race. Or is it?
It is a race. I mean, they'll quibble about, the point is they are a biologically distinct group in the sense that, black people are black people, Italians are Italian. They have certain traits. Jewish people are a distinct ethnicity. They always say we're not a race, we're a people. Okay, it's a distinction without a difference.
Right.
They are an ethnicity. And by Jewish law, you can only become a Jew. It's passed down matrilineally, meaning through the mother. So according to halacha, which is Jewish law, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, you can only be a Jew. Yeah, sure not. I'm not one of them. I'm American. I'm Christian. But you can only be Jewish if you have a Jewish mother. So they discourage conversion. A lot of them don't welcome converts. I have Jewish friends, and their parents didn't marry another Jew. It's like a mixed marriage. One's Jewish, one's not Jewish, and they get ostracized by their family for marrying
So
another
if
Jew.
I meet a Jewish girl and we fall in love, I'm fornicating, we have a little Negro kid, will I be accepted as a Jew?
No, they will ostracize you. They will ostracize her for being with you.
Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Hey man, I believe free. I believe what this country stands for. Yeah.
So yeah, but that's
right. Because anybody can be Muslim, anybody can be Christian, but not everybody can be a Jew. Now that war that's going on in Israel, I mean, that's like royal, just like Jew. It's like I think that's bullshit. That's why I'm not Jewish.
It's exclusionary. They're not universalist. They and this is where you might have heard Jewish supremacy. They call themselves the chosen people. They think they're better than everyone. And if you you dig into their religion, Kabbalah and the Talmud, it says that their lives are worth more than ours. It says that the penalty.
That's what their Bible says.
Us to explore other heating options was our old equipment and the rising cost of fuel oil. now that we switched to natural gas, it's been so much more convenient. We've been able to just enjoy our lives without having to worry about how much fuel oil we have.
That's right, the Talmud. If you go into their holy book, the Talmud is basically rabbis' commentary on the Mishnah. The Mishnah is the 613 commandments from the Jewish Bible. So there's 10 commandments, but there's others throughout the Old Testament. The Jews extracted those, put them in a book, and then they debated about how to interpret and apply those for 2,000 years. In the Talmud, it says things like you can lie to Gentiles, which are non-Jews. Different business practices apply. You can't give Gentiles gifts, but you can give them gifts if it's to ingratiate yourself with them in a business relationship.
So that's where
What it says.
that's where that stereotype comes from too, because it's in that Bible.
It's in the book.
What do you call it? No, that's not a
It's all right.
stereotype. That's not a stereotype. That's their religion.
Black and white.
That is crazy as fuck. That is insane.
It is.
You know what's crazy? Like their religion, like here in America, I'm surprised like the woke left doesn't call that out. Oh, I can't be Jewish. It's like stay away from it. Yeah. Republicans stay away from it. You know what you had? I haven't heard one peep since that conflict in Israel. I haven't heard one peep out of black Israelites. Not one peep. Probably got bombed. It's probably in Palestine. Should be laughing at that shit, but yeah, you should. Man, you're a wealth of information.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't know that about the Talmud.
Yeah.
What's that about? What's that part of the kid who told me this? They said something about someone bathing in boiling semen.
That's
What?
right.
Yeah. It's in the Talmud.
They say that Jesus Christ is there in hell, boiling in excrement and semen. That's what the Talmud says.
But that's kind of weird. You guys lie.
Look it up, Babylonian Talmud.
Really?
They hate Jesus. They say, and that's not even the worst. They say that Jesus was a sorcerer, that his mother was a whore, and then they say that he was sent to hell and is boiling in excrement. They hate him, and that's another
They think
reason.
he's a false prophet.
They do. Killed him because he came and said, "I am." That's why they crucified him.
So why would you give these people Jerusalem for? I thank Trump for that. Did Trump do that?
He did. He did.
Oh, he
He
put
gave
the
them-
embassy there, right?
He put the embassy there, and he recognized that as the eternal capital of Israel. Because before it was disputed as to who had control over it. Because the
Right.
Palestinians claimed this is their capital.
You know, I had a family member one time, a Jerusalem. He said, man, he'd never felt a sense of hatred towards him.
Yeah.
He's black and Korean. And he said the Muslims treated him fine.
Yeah. Well, Muslims revere Jesus. Muslims believe that Jesus was a prophet. They call him Messiah. They don't think he was the savior of the world, but they call him a prophet and they revere him. Jews don't like Christians. They hate, I mean, especially in Israel. They spit on Christians. They
I saw those
vandalize the
videos.
churches.
Yeah.
It's very common.
They made him wear we call that
Yarmulke.
No. That was yep. Yeah. When he was I forget. I think when you go to Jerusalem, there's the Holy Land. They said have humanity, and if you're Christian, won't seem too tolerant to me.
Yeah.
Even when I think I saw some images. He was wearing. Even Big Trump was wearing it. He's 6'4" Trump walking around there, no hat on, bowed the knee to the Jews. Scatty on it, because man, they gotta be a damn bald eagle. To be in boiling semen, he called up Yeshua, by Neil. I can't see that. Romancy. He said to him, "Who is honored in the next world." So it says right there, he's boiling in semen. That's a lot of semen. Did you jack off a bunch of horses? No, that is crazy. Well, I would think it would be human semen. You know what? It would be Jewish semen. Bunch of little dick Jews busting that into a big crock pot. Yeah, the Jewish semen and yarmulke. What they call it? Man, I don't know. We're gonna get bad for this shit. Netflix said fashion. Make us play it up.
Yeah.
To clean this shit up.
Well, it's so ridiculous you have to laugh because if you don't laugh, you'd be really mad about what they say.
Yeah.
And
it's like a huge conflict.
Hi, I'm Derek from Oklahoma. I just won this Ram 2500 with 10K in cash from the Hodge twins. Check out what you can win next.
If you look, it's F-250. King Ranch is what they call it. F-250. 6.7.
IQ 85 to 115 is considered average in the US. An IQ of 115 to 140.
Well, I'm trying to understand if you're actually, you think that it's all Black people are like this, or if your world is kind of colored by this is what's going on in America. This has failed for 1,000 reasons. Welfarism has definitely, I mean, Black people in 1940s, stand up. My grandfather, I talk about that denigration and the corrosion of culture. That's happening. White, Black, whatever you want to name it, there is this intentional corrosion of culture. So do you think it's literally, well, this is just what a Black person is when they come out? Or do you think that post-welfare, LBJ, Great Society, this is what Black Americans have become, and I have a right to respond to that and say that as a white man, I don't want to live there?
well, I think it's more nature than people would like to believe. There's this classic tension of is it nature, is it nurture, is it cultural, or is it intrinsic, is it racial? And I've always been on the latter side of this among conservatives. I like to say it's all culture. Black America is the way it is because of hip hop music and the Great Society and that kind of stuff. And I think the uncomfortable reality is big part of it is intrinsic. And one of the big arguments against the abolition of slavery in the 1860s is that when Europeans colonized Africa, they hadn't discovered the wheel. There's no two-story buildings.
Crazy. No wheel. Two-story buildings. I wonder if they had fire. Nah, it probably would have got dark because all you could see was eyes and teeth. Yeah, got a new show for y'all. Got a damn good show. But before we get to today's video, don't forget about.
Well, aren't the pyramids in Africa? Before the Europeans colonized Africa, them niggas was building pyramids. In Sudan, Ethiopia, everywhere. I don't know about that one, Nick.
Our new giveaway, Ford 250, King Ranch, Tampa, 10,000K. To get in the win, just go to my website, FisherAllTwins.com. Anything you buy on the site, like my new Telebomb or my Methylene Blue, get you automatically in the win. That's crazy, man. So if they didn't have a bull, I know they didn't have no fire. No, they couldn't. If they don't have two-story buildings, that's enough.
Then what the fuck is the pyramid?
Sparks, flames.
There's no writing, there's no written language. Missionaries had to go to Africa in the last century and invent it for the.
Crazy, no written language, no writing. Maybe I can, that can't be still, girl. Maybe they use, maybe they're more advanced. Maybe they had telepathy. They can read each other's minds. But some of them got some big bullies. So they got some telepathy going. Yeah.
People, because there's no recorded history, they didn't have writing.
So Egypt is not in Africa.
Well, Egypt is a different race.
You know what? A lot of people think
A different race from what?
is nothing but sub-Saharan. Hold on, black folks.
But again, what about Sudan and Ethiopia? There's pyramids there. There's a fucking temple that's carved into the fucking ground in Ethiopia.
Yeah, my people. Well, 50% of me, yeah.
He heard me say, well, the Egyptians were a different race.
More Arabic. Like these are Egyptian girls.
So you're talking about a race or the continent itself? You didn't say a specific race. You said when the Europeans conquered Africa or colonized Africa. Well, Egypt isn't Africa. I don't know.
I speak Arabic. No, a lot of one no. Oh, you speak English? Yes, yes. Yes, I love America. Oh, thank you. What's your name? We love Egypt. America. My name's Lisa. Lisa. What's your name? And you've been posting the picture of her? Oh, Arabic. You deserve it anyway. Hi.
There's black people, well, we label them as black here in America that have that skill tone, but they're actually mixed. They're biracial. Most of them are biracial. Yeah. Like it's not common to see like us in Africa and sub-Saharan unless some white dude like I think they get it penetrated a sub-Saharan woman and just made these abominations like white supremacy. Oh man, they got abomination. I've seen it all. I've seen a couple of Negroes with blue eyes. Brown with the Velcro hair. Yeah, but in Africa. It's still in Africa. Yeah, but they're totally different race of people.
No, they're not.
Totally
Well,
different race. It's like night and day.
now it is because
But if
the
you're paying over
Persians and the
$30 a
Arabs,
month for car insurance, you're getting ripped off.
the Persians and the Arabs moved in and conquered Egypt. The original Egyptians were dark-skinned Africans. There is no debate in that. Pre-dynastic Egyptians were black Africans. And then if they had so much technology and influence, why did the Moors, when the Moors went to Italy, they had to bring a wealth of knowledge with them that wasn't already there? I don't understand when people be talking about the niggas ain't had no history, no culture, no building, no, bro, the fucking fairy circles and the African history is so fucking old. The earliest parts of it are all but eroded, and we don't know how old that shit go back.
Egyptians were not black.
Okay, but you said when they went to Africa, so I just want to.
The interior of Africa in the late 19th century, scrambled
Okay, so
around.
we're now knocking Egypt out of Africa.
Well, Egypt is part of northern Africa,
Right,
sub-Saharan
it's
Africa.
You said Africa, so but it's not. I'm not trying to get a gotcha. I'm just responding. You're saying
Okay,
Africa.
sure, yeah.
It's in Africa. It's Egypt. It's kind of ridiculous that there was no written language.
Well,
but I'm just trying to get you to
Sure,
you know.
Egyptians are not
If
African.
I'm not pushing back the internet well, so
Egyptians are not racial Africans. When I say African, I'm saying sub-Saharan Africans.
Sub-Saharan, okay.
Black
Yeah.
people because it is a different race. In sub-Saharan Africa, and Europeans did not penetrate that until the late 19th century. Of any of this, to the extent that you have infrastructure in Africa, it's from the Muslims in the Sahel, in the Maghreb, in northern Africa, where the Arabs colonized, and then you had, Carthage and Egypt. You had ancient civilizations, but
You just say that they colonized. The Muslims had to come in and colonize northern Africa. The pyramids were already there. The pyramids were already there. He's talking over himself. I can't see how Candace can't catch this shit.
sub-Saharan Africa, they didn't have that. You take these people out of that
did.
land and put them here. They're enslaved people. You let them free in a modern, liberal republic. They're not going to succeed. It's not going to go well for them. And that was one of the arguments against abolition. People said if you free them without any assimilation, without any kind of process for them to be acclimated, they're going to die. And that's exactly what happened. Many of the bottom 10% of the lowest IQ Africans just died off for generations. And it had a, pardon the expression, but it had a eugenic effect, because over time, if the weakest are dying off, That's one argument for why blacks in America have a standard deviation higher IQ than the blacks in sub-Saharan Africa. So, so I do believe there is something intrinsic going on there. And what makes
Well, I think so too. Like you can go to Africa, some parts of Africa, you can see them living. Yeah. It's like call them savages, but like they are. They're savages. Yeah, they're walking around like the women are like naked. Their boobs are hanging. They walk around like big bowls of water on their head. They put, I forget the term. They have these weird piercings and scars all over their face. It's barbaric. And I've seen this one dude take a plate and stick it in his lip. Yeah, they're sticking a plate. And they got bones in their nose. Yep. Well, but in that movie, Wakanda, Black Panther, right? In that movie, they put it in there. It was some dude sitting there with a plate just sitting in the bottom of his lip, just hanging. Dude like a duck-billed platypus. Yeah, that's not culture. That's intrinsic. Well, culture. Well, where does culture come from? Your mindset. Yeah. So you cannot say it's just culture. Yeah. It's not culture. You're born the way you are. Like you're born straight. You're born like this. You're born fast. You're born slow. You're born stupid. Well, just look at black people. Who wins a 100-meter race? Happens a black person. That's intrinsic. Right. We both have things that we excel at. Not to put everybody in a box. There's some very fast white people. I'm not saying all white people are slow. It's just inherently we are born a certain way based on our race. I think you're born a murderer. I think you're born a person who will force himself on a woman because I don't have that in me. I could never force myself on a woman, but some people can. Why? Because you're born that way. I think personally. And they're still living like that to this day.
I don't know.
Yeah.
people uncomfortable about this is the idea that it's unchangeable. And this is why I'm a Catholic, do have an inherent desire for universalism. We do believe that there's a common humanity and a common human community and all of that. We hate the idea that we're born a certain way and we can never change. And that's just the way it is. And we even think about this in terms of, it's become not so popular these days to tell children, you can be whatever you want to be. Because we know that's not the case. Some people are tall, some people are short, some people are smart, some dumb, some ugly, some handsome. That's why, by the way, incel-dumb is a big part of this also.
So you believe these are immutable characteristics that are assigned at birth?
I think that, yes.
For the most part.
Things like race, all those attributes are immutable and unchangeable, and
but they have changed. Just factually speaking, they have changed.
They change over time, over the generations.
Okay, so then you don't think it's immutable, because if this was an immutable
individual person.
So you're saying that if you are born at this space and time as a Black person in America, here is the cards that you're dealt with, and you can't change it over time.
Something like IQ does not change. It doesn't change wildly. It only changes genetically over. IQ is a big one, and that changes. That's a genetic trait, and so that can change over the generations, but not. You can't take an individual that's 75 IQ, which is the average in West Africa, and take them to 100.
So two dumb people can't produce a smart person.
I believe they can, actually.
I've seen two short people and their kids 7 foot tall playing basketball. Yeah, hell, I forget the name of the basketball player. There's such thing as a miracle sometimes. You can have two dumb people and have an Einstein. It's not typical. It's not going to happen all the time. It's going to happen like once out of every blue moon. You got a better chance of getting struck by lightning, but it does happen. Like I've seen two Black people have a white baby. I've seen two white people have a Black baby.
I know where hell.
It's crazy. No, we've had conversations with Nick. He doesn't think all Black people are stupid. He just thinks has low IQ. He just believes that Blacks compared to all other races, it's more widespread, more prevalent. There's some Einstein Black people, very, very high IQ, but more on average, you find more low IQ people. You find low IQ people in all races. Yeah, but it's more prevalent in sub-Saharan. Yeah.
Want to lose 15 to 20% of your weight in a year?
IQ isn't a real
Try
test of
Rose Insurance
intelligence
Checker
either.
to see if you're covered for.
IQ is not a real measurement of intelligence because
So does that kind of debunk your?
No.
So two dumb.
you can take a motherfucker from some Aboriginal fucking dark-skinned Australian who's ever only lived amongst his community and his own people and never been to university or higher education. And then you can take a motherfucker from Oxford University who's a PhD and a scholar in several fields and has all these accolades. But if you take that Oxford educated individual and put them in the outback with nothing but a stick and a rock, and you put that same Aboriginal person right beside him in the outback with a stick and a rock, who's going to survive the longest? Who will survive the longest? Because one is intelligent in a different way. One will more than definitely understand the land, how nature works, what vegetation and animals to look out for, what vegetation and animals to move towards, predicting weather patterns easily and readily, building fires and shelters, and that is intelligence. IQ, the Western society has built the IQ as a way to memorize facts and data, and that makes you smart, or so they say. But that's not a real measure of fucking. Your IQ isn't a real measurement of intelligence. It's how much can you memorize hard facts.
People can't produce a smart person.
I believe they can actually.
Yeah.
But
So does that kind of debunk your?
no, because it's rare that that happens. But IQ is a heritable trait, so it's unlikely that that happens.
It's all about anybody ready for all that? Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I think he's so misunderstood. Yeah, you find low IQ people, white people. I mean, yeah. It's just more prevalent in certain demographics of people. There's no denying that. We have the test scores. The IQ test don't know. Racism, black school, the worst. Yeah, just the bottom of the barrel. But I'm pretty sure there was the highest when it comes to physical feats. I mean, look at football. Look at all the sports. All the speed and power, ridiculous of black person. Not saying black people, not saying white people can't be fast and be powerful. It's just more prevalent when it comes to. You don't think it's that black people apply themselves more in sports than white people?
That's what it is.
They don't go to school and mix among themselves. They don't go down sports. Do you think it has to be doing that? No, I don't think so. When you look at the Olympics, I think there's certain cases if they're put in the right environment, they would excel. I would do better. I knew some couple white boys in school, man. It was some could run and jump and yeah. Wasn't even in sports. When I can remember I had a friend. I could long jump like 20, 21 and a half, 22. Went out there, this long jump, 19 feet, 5'8", fat white boy. He wasn't fat. He was chubby. He wasn't cut. He wasn't built like I was. If he'd applied himself, that white boy could have probably jumped 24 feet. Not chubby. He was just your run-of-the-mill white boy. He wasn't fat. He was just average fat. He was not fat at all. What are you talking about? Skinny legs on him, too. Hey, I'm talking about his mid-section. He had a little gut actually. Okay. But he wasn't fat. It was just, he had like a little spare tire around his face. Oh. that one white dude, basketball dude could dunk. Yeah. I just think.
I guess I gotta listen to more of Nick Fuentes.
I'm so happy they went with someone else because they gave me the best TV that I have seen in so long. Oh, this would not have been the same if I was on it. I saw The Crucible destroy Tommy Lauren. Oh, it was so funny. So as you guys know, right here, it wasn't about, right here is Tommy Lauren. Tommy Lauren was a big Fox News host back in the day. She was just known for being like this blonde. You know what? I'll show you guys one of those rants.
You know, I don't fear it, but it's amazing. I'm a millennial. I look at my fellow millennials. I look at those that are on college campuses right now, and I see them actively protesting for fewer rights. They want less free speech. Let that sink in. That's the problem. That's the culture on college campuses right now. And they really need to change this because I don't think they realize how damaging they are to themselves.
Now, can we be honest here? Why is she employed? Can we just be real? Be real. Is she employed because she has a lot of life experience? Like 22. No, she's employed because she's hot. Like let's just in conservative media, she's like a 10 because remember all the mids going to conservative media. If we were hotter, we'd be on like we'd go be models or something. But you know, us mids, we got to do some work. So here we are. So again, conservative media, she's like a 10.
Into the future on college campus, really.
Sure, to respect women, to not behave in a misogynist way, and to behave in a pretty decent way generally. But I'm also aware that they've grown up in an era when the likes of Andrew Tate and others have become increasingly dominant in the way that a lot of impressionable young men start to think and view women. And for all that Andrew Tate can say that is positive about getting fit, being successful, confident, and so on, there's indisputably a hardcore streak of misogyny that runs through his veins, which I think has been quite damaging to young men. So I'm not all in either way here, but I can certainly see the arguments. What do you say?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that so I watched the show, and it just goes through a typical feminine view, right? So all of these things are always through the prism of the feminine. So young boys, they don't do well at school. They don't do well in school because it's all programmed for the feminine. Stay still, hold your hands, right? Be quiet. Boys are rambunctious. They like to beat each other up. They like to be mischievous. They like to break things. They like to do that kind of stuff. There's no outlet for them to do that stuff. Their teachers are all women, right? There's basically all masculinity is now considered toxic. Basically all of it. The same women who are getting their double shot of espresso on the way over to the school they're about to teach at. They're 24 years old. Sometimes they're banging their own students, right? Hilariously enough. And then these people go out to Parliament. Same women go to Parliament. They vote to send men off the war to stab each other in the face with bayonets. And you're concerned about toxic masculinity. It cracks me up. It's like the brutal savagery of men is a necessary precondition for society to exist. And we just kind of pretend like it's not. And this show should actually be an indictment on the feminine rather than the masculine, because basically masculinity is punished everywhere, all the time, nonstop. It's no wonder guys like Andrew Tate get so famous in these spaces. I mean, what's the alternative? The alternative is everything must be feminine, tone policing, nonsense like this. It's ridiculous.
All right, James Barr, you were laughing, but I don't think you had a joy.
My name is Ray Manello. I live in Winfield, Pennsylvania with my wife, Marita.
and 2 English cream golden retrievers.
Give a
We
fuck
built
about
the
your
whole
golden
thing.
retrievers,
No,
dude.
I mean that's you. I don't think you've seen the show. Episode 2 is shot entirely in a.
So again, we got the more dominant guy. We got Andrew Wilson, right? And then we got the 2 simps. It's always this dynamic. There's one guy who has balls, and then the rest will attack him. Woman. It's so obvious.
The school. I didn't see one of the female teachers drinking a double shot of espresso at all. None of the teachers were flirting with students. There were male teachers as well. I don't think you're describing the show here. I think you're describing your own insecurities or agenda.
There's gaslighting.
Yeah, so this doesn't contend with the argument. Like, do you understand that I'm making an argument, an indictment of society itself based around my ideas that I'm seeing from this show? That's what I'm actually doing. So if you could contend with the fact that male savagery is necessary for the security of the nation, and that women will indeed vote in the future in parliaments to send men off to war to stab each other in the face at 18 years old with bayonets, perhaps you could contend with that. And before we start, getting into, well, gun policing is actually good and toxic masculinity is actually bad. It's like, I think there needs to be a little bit more toxic masculinity, or what you consider to be toxic masculinity.
Well, great. Good for you.
Nothing.
I'm glad you think so.
Nothing.
It's
Nothing.
like you got nothing. KKB says, look who's monetized now. Congrats. I've always appreciated you guys telling these guys what women are like in reality. As the mom of a grown conservative son, these are all the things I've preached to him as he's grown up. Much love for you long time, from your long time but only lady fan. Thank you. I didn't think you guys existed. I better, if there's any women watching, put a comment under the stream, because I don't really think there's any.
Don't need to argue with that.
You just unlocked. You got nothing.
You're making up.
You do seem unusually.
I've not said anything. I haven't literally said nothing about
James, you literally rendered silent.
I tell you what, you can't argue with a completely illogical argument that has, I've not made any of
It's a logical argument. You may not agree with it.
I've not made any of the comments
logical argument
that you were firing at me. None of those comments are things I've said or believed.
I want to bring Tommy in, because Tommy, you've got a very interesting perspective, I think. You've talked about something different. You call it the pacification of men.
Oh, I'm getting too excited because it's so good. Look, and you see Andrew, he's ready. You see him, he's like, I am ready to go. And then Tommy, oh.
Which is a great phrase. I'd love you to just explain what you mean by that. But also, you're not a fan of Andrew Tate or the influence he has. So that makes you, I think, an interesting commentator in this area. So just explain, first of all, the pacification of men.
All right, Pierce. Well, I think, and I can't see you all, so forgive me if I'm incorrect here, but I think I'm the only female on this panel, so I'm really anxious to weigh in. Okay, so I think
why do you lead with your gender?
I mean, the last probably 10 years, there has been what I call the pussification of men. It was everything should be about your emotions and your feelings, and men were emasculated, and this whole concept of toxic masculinity warped the minds of a lot of young men. And they felt masculine, they wanted to be masculine, but society was telling them they should be softer, that it was being toxically masculine if you wanted to play sports and chop wood and go to war. And so men were so emasculated and so beat down that then there was this revolution of what was actually toxic masculinity, the Tate brothers and others, which I feel as a female that doesn't represent true masculinity. That to me represents douchebaggery. And as a woman, I want a strong man who is a protector and a provider that will go to war if need be, that will protect me, protect my family, make money. I see that as being actually masculine. That's like the man that
So remember, masculinity is only celebrated when it's in the service of women. So all of the things she listed, they don't benefit you, the male, they benefit her.
I grew up with my dad. But what we're seeing now is these young men who look at Andrew Tate and the Tate brothers, and they see somebody who's just quite frankly a douchebag and disrespects women. And because they've been so emasculated, they're like, oh, great, that's a manly man. But that's not right either. So at some point, I think we'll go back to maybe meeting in the middle here. You can be a man who has feelings and emotions, but you can also go to war and protect and defend your family. I'm hoping we can get back there.
But so whenever women say it's about balance or meet in the middle, it's just them arguing to argue, and it's very easy to say that because they make no point. It's the middle. Are you the one that deciphers what the balance is?
The two extremes right now, they're confusing men, and quite frankly, they're leaving women with few choices. And that's the real tragedy here.
You see,
Yeah. So again, now she's complaining there aren't enough men for us. Really, someone who looks like that, no masculine, none.
I completely agree with you, but Andrew, you were shaking your head quite vigorously. Why?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just more feminine or feminist nonsense ultimately. And the covert feminism in society is big, especially on the conservative side. So here's what happens, right? Women need to have feminine virtues for men to be pursuing masculine virtues, for you to say things like, well, men, what I want is for men to protect me and I want men to make money. Well, that's great. What that ends up doing is it gives you a sack of privilege in society. What do men get? What do men get for doing that for you?
You look at her face. Look at her face. She's never been told the truth ever in her life. This is the problem. Look at you get women like this, and they get clout too young, and they have no one to humble them. They just think they're right about everything. They really do.
What are we getting from women for doing that? Are we getting?
Look at he says, what are we getting from women in return? Why is that an offensive question?
Chaste virgins on our wedding night? No, we're not getting chaste virgins on our wedding night. Are we getting women of great virtue? No, we're not getting women of great virtue. The idea of courtly love is supposed to be done
like
for women of great virtue. Where are they? Well, they're nowhere. And so in modernity, in society, when female conservative influencers say this, it's actually a form of covert feminism. They're saying, I want privilege in society, right? But what is it women are giving to men to get it? What? What are they giving them?
Can I please chime in here?
Yes, you can. And then Jake can, and I'll come to you, Sean.
No, love to. I love this whole thing of like, if you're a female conservative and you don't believe that men should be douchebags, that all of a sudden you're a covert feminist. Call me a feminist. I really don't give one crap one way or another, but I can tell you
she gives a crap. She definitely gives a crap. Did you see her eyebrows? Her eyebrows were moving through her Botox. Do you know how? Because you see, I got nothing in the face, so you can see that like if her eyebrows are moving through all that Botox. Woo!
This. A lot of these men, these podcast hosts on the right, that like to think of themselves as these big masculine men, and what am I getting out of it? I can tell you
that should. Okay, imagine if you, as an employer, you said I wanted to hire someone. I said, hey, I get out of hiring. And the person says, well, you think you're so cool with your podcast. And I mean, the guys are like, what do I get out of dedicating my life to you?
Are you visiting Rome? You have to visit the Vatican, and you have to skip the lines to be able to.
She freaks out.
There's that feminism.
All right, I believe I'm a woman of virtue,
coming
right?
out.
Yeah, there's the feminism. Oh, and then you're interrupting me too.
Didn't take long, did it? Didn't take long, did it?
Okay.
And then she can't handle being interrupted. You're in a debate show.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to speak over me?
Yeah, I don't care if you call me. I don't really care if you call me a
strong,
feminist.
independent woman.
Yeah. You're actually interrupting me. I did interrupt you when you were spewing your bullshit. So now it's my turn. Okay.
You mean
so,
the truth?
Like I said before, so I believe there we go again. I'm a woman of virtue. I happen to be independently successful. I have a husband who's not only a former professional athlete.
So now she's trying to defend her reputation. Because again, these women what they think is they get virtue points because they are conservative. So oftentimes, like, we have a tendency to have shittier personalities because, we don't really, we attribute conservative things to being a better person, but men don't care. They do not care.
But is currently a professional baseball coach. So is he not a masculine man? I mean, I'm confused here. What's your concept?
So again, conservative women cannot help but using their family to virtue signal. So she's trying to say, no, I'm a good woman. My husband used to be in the MLB, and he's a coach, okay? I'm a good woman. So they use their relationships for clout.
Don't you understand that misses the point?
Mine is a man who respects me.
That misses the point, though. Like, you're still not contending with the argument.
What's your point?
You're saying inside of society, right this second, right? Masculinity.
Oh, I'm so happy they picked her. I am so happy. Pierce, I'm not even mad.
He is not only punished, but also women on the right, covert feminists on the right, are constantly and consistently talking about how they need to have privilege in society. I want men, and their version of masculinity is men who take care of us, men who protect us, men who do all of this. Those are all duties that men have towards women. Great. What are the duties that women have towards men? What are the duties that women have towards anything? What do men get out of this arrangement? What are we getting out of this arrangement? Can you tell me?
I mean, you.
What are the men?
Also, let Tommy
Most men are
respond.
born that way.
Let Tommy respond to that,
Yeah, and she still can't answer the question, what do men get out of it?
and then I'll come to you, Jeff.
Yeah,
Then Sean,
most
you've been
men are-
waiting patiently. So
Most men are born to be protectors and providers. I can't imagine my dad saying, you know what, to my mom.
See again, do you see what you dads do? Do you see what you do? You guys create brats, you really do. It's the simp dad effect.
You know what, I'm not going to be
Do you think she heard the word no from her father ever?
a provider unless you do this. That's not
Hey, she's my little princess. Like, for what? Really? For what?
how real men operate. Real men are protectors and providers.
Yeah, and so this is where I have a PowerPoint on this. So again, what happened is we go back to conservative women, they see the men, they say feminism, yay, I want to be like the men, I'm going to join a man's world. Oh no, if I get fired, I'm going to falsely accuse them or create drama. And then if they don't get what they want, they scream, you're not a real man. And then so they want all the benefits of traditionalism, but without giving up their job, nagging their husband, or giving obedience. So yeah, they can never say, what do the men? I forgot to put kids in there. If they do have kids, they got to get a nanny to raise. Obviously, they can't do it. They're busy.
And they marry women who hopefully
great.
have
A
some
woman telling
virtue,
us what
but
real
also
men
bring a
are.
lot to the
Great.
table as well, that are great mothers, great wives, caretakers of the home. There's nothing wrong with being a traditional wife and mother. You're misunderstanding me if you think that I think that women should just be out doing whatever they want. I think that
I
there
love
are
getting
gender
lectured by
roles to
women
be
what real men
respected,
are. That's
but I
great.
don't think a man needs to get something.
He said, I love getting lectured by a woman on what real men are. Even the guy in the middle laughed.
Out of it to be a manly man, a protector and a provider. If you think you
So
need to
nothing.
get
So you
something
should have
out of
nothing.
it, I quite frankly don't consider you a
nothing.
real man.
Yeah, she have nothing. She have nothing.
Well,
No
we'll
one
discuss
has
in a
nothing.
moment whether Andrew Wilson is a real man.
Here's,
But
here's,
let's
I
go.
offer nothing. I offer nothing.
You offer
didn't
me a
offer a single
lot of things,
argument.
Tommy. Yeah. What?
Yeah, he said you didn't offer a single argument. Okay, super chat from, so you are trying to take off the mask.
I always love having you on the show, you know that. Let's go to a real man, James Barr.
Thank you. I do see myself as a man, and I know that you were looking at me thinking, well, you're not, you're wearing makeup, you're wearing colourful clothes, like, look at me, I'm really camp, my nails are
I mean,
painted.
they are worried.
You know, you're sat there smoking a cigarette, I'd love to get a vape out and start
So
drinking.
now the men will start arguing for her, and especially in the.
All right, whether they're
So this other guy then starts simping for Tommy.
Oh man, why they
And it's so funny. She looks so smug. She thinks she won.
gravitated to people like
He's
that?
mad. You see, he's like, how dare you talk to a lady like that?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so I think first of all, we got to understand that we have an amazing responsibility as a parent.
Now, here's the thing. Conservative men are the worst in a different way. So conservative men, what they've done is they've taken a bad deal. And they're miserable. Okay? And everybody can tell they're miserable. You know, like Matt Walsh, he's getting henpecked by his wife. It's not his house, you know. And they, like, misery loves company. And so what they love to do is they signed the marriage contract. So they signed up for misery, right? And they want all the other men to be miserable with them. And they'll say they're irresponsible or shame them if other men benefit from female sexuality. So, because again, they didn't get the best years of their wife, they didn't get the best out of their wife. So when a guy is sleeping around like Tate, and he's getting these women to get naked on camera for nothing, or like just cause, they can't believe it. They're like, this is immoral, but it's only because they can't get anything out of the women, so they're jealous. They're jealous. I won't lie, I've never seen a guy that's very easy for him to cheat, not do it. I've seen men that are too lazy to go do it, or they think it's too much work or will cause too much problems. But guys, can we just be honest here? You could be the best wife in the world, but if he sees a hot 22-year-old and you're like 45, it's over. Just take the L. Just, you know what I mean? Just eat it. Just don't make vast assumptions and generalizes too much. Tony, what are you, a woman? Like, that's what women say, all right? Tommy, you were born a simp, therefore you get nothing.
Eat from the home and to have these open conversations with our young children, all right? Whether they're male children, female children, we have to make sure that we're having open door conversations and we are tackling the hard subjects. Because if we don't take care of everything at home, we don't take care of everything in public, like at school, and other forces within society that
MGTOW, some of us met our wives when we were 19. Are we talking about the exception or the rule? Are most men going to meet their wives when they're 19? You know, I'm sorry, we're beefing today, chat. We're beefing.
help raise our children, we always say it takes a village. Well, it certainly does, but it starts at home. And if you cannot have these open conversations and allow your children to be honest and open with how they are feeling about society and the things that they are seeing, they are going to go to misogyny. They're going to go to the Andrew and Tristan Tates of the world, and they're going to learn how to be a man from that. And that is not what society needs. It's not what the world needs.
So again, they also have a hero complex. So they want, the psychology is they want the world to look up to them, the conservative men, and they want to use their virtue to have other men look up to them.
It's not masculinity. It is masquerading as misogyny.
How do we protect young men from the easy access at the moment there is to people like tech? I mean, how do you actually put a ring fence around them so that you can tackle exactly what you just said, but they're not also being dragged into that world?
It's tough because they're growing up in a world we never grew up in, Piers. We didn't grow up with the internet. We didn't grow up with Bumble, Tinder, Instagram.
No, I was taught how to treat women by my mother, my grandmother.
Open the door,
my
right?
aunts,
Open the door.
a lot of strong women in my family, very
Of course there are.
strong women. And they would just take no crap from the men. So that's the environment I grew up in.
Absolutely. So how do we insulate our children from this? By having conversations, putting parameters around the social media aspects of life and having the conversations at home. Hey son, hey daughter, this is what you're going to see out there in the real world. This is what you're going to see on the internet. If you see something like this, that is not how a true man is supposed to act. And hey, that's not how a real man is supposed to treat you. So we have to have the conversations.
Yeah, Andrew, do you intrinsically disagree with what you've just heard?
I do. I think, again, all of this is always the burden on men. Burden on men. Burden on men. Men need to be
it's a
doing
family,
this.
Andrew. It's a family.
Hang on. Let me
The family,
finish.
Andrew.
Men need to,
Husband and wife.
okay, yeah. So let me back up. Okay. Again, men need to do this. Men need to do that. What I'm talking about is what duties do women have in society?
3 people. No one can answer his question.
What are the actual women's duties towards men? Everybody is raised from the time they're kids how we're supposed to treat women. We all know how to treat women. We never talk about how men are supposed to be treated. That's almost never discussed, especially by how women are supposed to treat men, what their duties in society are. This has been completely dispelled. Guys like Tate have risen because Christianity itself has become a feminized religion, especially the Protestant sects has become completely feminized. And it didn't used to punish masculinity at all. And now it does. And so where's the alternative? Where's the spiritual alternative? It's nowhere. And we need to get back to this fundamental question of what even is misogyny? Because I don't think that men kicking the crap out of each other, being brutes, insulting each other, hazing each other, even bullying each other is misogyny. Not only do I not think it's misogyny, I think it's perfectly healthy.
Yeah, but I don't think that's misogyny.
Well-adjusted.
That is not misogyny.
Well, hang on.
Misogyny is where you have a hatred or, whatever you want to phrase it, towards women. It's not about men treating men.
Sorry, toxic masculinity is what I'm referencing here. And toxic masculinity is what they're claiming leads to misogyny. So what I'm talking about is these are all masculine traits. There's nothing wrong with them, right? When you're talking about misogyny itself, I want to know what that even is. Is it just asserting yourself to women, telling women no, telling them no, that's bullshit?
No, I
Telling
would
them
say
you're
it's
wrong,
okay. Let me
telling them
answer
you're
you.
saying stupid things?
Andrew Tate says he's quite open about it. Women should stay at home. They shouldn't go out to work. They should do what he tells them. He's the king of the castle in his house, blah, 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 blah. That is misogyny.
Okay. So again, why wouldn't you want a man to be the king of the castle in his own house? Isn't that how you want him to feel?
Isn't it? You know, I've got a
That's not
daughter.
misogyny.
I've got a
That's not
13-year-old
misogyny.
daughter. I know her thinking
Yeah.
she can never leave the house. She's somebody.
It's not never leaving the house. Look, it's true that the world would be a better place if we didn't have it inverted and women did have a natural role at home and that was glorified and that there was government propaganda around the nuclear family and keeping women home. Why do you want to outsource the raising of children to strangers instead of your wife? That's a way better society. Why do you want your best and brightest women forced to go to a workplace instead of the best and brightest women staying at home raising their children? That's a way better system. It's always been a better system.
I guess we're talking
It's
freedom
like,
of choice.
that's not
It's forcing women to
misogyny.
do anything. It's freedom of choice. It's freedom of choice. I love the fact that my wife's out there working, teaching kids and building adolescents. I love that. I love that. And to your point about what do I get from a woman? I have a home. I have 3 beautiful children. I have.
For now, I don't know if you'll have that in a year. It's a decade.
Communication in the house. And to me, that means more than anything. I don't understand where I'm not saying you're wrong in your world, but to sit there and say to a woman, what do I?
And you see Tommy, she's so happy that the simp is fighting for her. None of them have answered a so simple question. What do men get out of it? Men aren't getting children. They're getting maybe one.
I get out of this woman? That's treating her like an object.
One thing I want to make
Okay, so it's okay to treat men like objects, give them duties,
I
but
don't
you're not
feel
allowed
like
to
an
give women
object.
duties.
I feel respected.
Okay,
in my
let me ask.
Okay. And you know what? I have to be honest. A lot of these guys are kind of idiots. And I gotta be honest, guys. And it's okay. I've done some idiotic things. So this isn't trying to come at, said I'm better than them or yeah. So I don't want it to appear like that. But, there's decisions I've made in my life and I've looked back and just thought that was idiotic. That was dumb. And I think a lot of men look back when they get married to a miserable wife. They're like, I didn't even Google the divorce laws. That's pretty dumb, right? So, yeah. I mean, this guy hasn't had any consequence. And maybe he never will. I hope he doesn't. But he wants you all to suffer too. And you know why? It's for him. A better future for his kids. Most men don't even know if they're going to have kids. So what the conservatives are saying are you young men who may not even have a wife, who may not even have a family, have to sacrifice your life for my children. Tough sell. Oh, nobody can. And they say, what do I get in return? They still got nothing.
That's good.
I'm not
How come
angry
it is
about
in the
it.
United States that men can be drafted? Women can't be drafted, but women can vote to send men to war. 18 years old, they're stabbing each other in the face with bayonets. Women can vote to send men to war that they themselves do not have to fight. It's a duty that men have, they do not have. What's the counter duty for women? There's no obligation for women to have children. We're well under replacement rate. It's slated 45% of women will be single in the next 10 years, up to 60% in the next 30. That's the estimates right now. Our replacement rate, we can't even replace our own country's birth rates. That's how low they are.
Maybe
This is what we're seeing as
like you that's causing the
a
problem.
systemic issue inside of society because nobody will put duties on women.
God,
Instead,
Maybe it's men like you that are making that
Maybe that's
happen.
why
Maybe you're the problem.
great as well.
Yeah.
Crazy to me as well that you were just sat there.
Don't talk over each other. Let Jane speak.
I can't understand why you are sat there confidently thinking of yourself as a victim constantly. You have a platform and you're sat here like, I'm a victim. What are women doing for me? What happened in your childhood that has made you so traumatized as an adult that you cannot stand women succeeding? I'm so confused. I feel like the problem is not, and actually maybe this is our fault. Maybe this is the left's fault. Maybe this is modern society's fault for leaving people like you behind. But genuinely, we do not hate men, and toxic masculinity has been thrown around a lot. Ultimately, some of what you're saying is toxic, but that's not because you're a man. That's because you're an idiot.
All right. Okay. So just to give you a quick rejoinder here, you didn't contend with a single argument I made. You just said, why are you acting like a victim? While you're here talking about how women are victims.
With arguments that
It's wild to me. It's so wild to me.
Let me go to Tommy. Tommy, I want to play you a clip. This is from a show called Newsnight on the BBC in the UK, where the host Victoria Darvish had a panel of young men and asked them, when was the last time you cried? Watch this.
When was the last time you cried?
Honestly, the last time I cried, I couldn't tell you. Same with Leo, I can't really remember the last time that I cried fully.
A lot of times I feel emotion and I look at myself, why can't I cry? We're told to suppress that emotion.
I feel like
the conservatives, even though I'm mostly aligned in nuance, I still think of this battle as between men and women is
so
selfishness.
guys, we may be treated a certain way that evokes an idea that we have to be extremely strong and upfront and here as a man, and I'm going to be composed at all times.
Now, I've got a slight issue with this, Tommy, in the sense that one of the most devastating moments for me as a movie watcher was watching James Bond loving in the last Bond movie. Right? I don't think to prove you're a modern man, you need to be sobbing all the time. You know, I can't remember the last time I cried. It doesn't make me less of a man or less sympathetic to people or anything. I think again, the pendulum issue of what we want men to be, I think we're now trying to persuade a lot of young men, if you're not emoting all the time, then you're being suppressed in some way. We have over here the British stiff upper lip, which I think is a really bad rap. I think it's not a bad thing to actually not over-emote. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think
sorry, Sean, I'll come to you. That was for Tommy. I'll come to you in a minute, Sean.
Oh, sorry.
For Tommy. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all, Piers. I don't think that men should be trained to be overly emotional and that should be a sign now of new maturity, being emotional. I don't agree with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with men crying in certain circumstances. Listen, everybody has a different journey. Everybody has a different set of circumstances. There are circumstances wherein men crying I have no issue with. It's also not up to me to tell a man when he can or cannot cry. I personally prefer the men in my life not to be overly emotional, but that's just a personal preference. Really, who am I to tell a man how he should exhibit his emotions? But again, I think that there is two sides here that are both too extreme. You've got the one hand that wants men to be feminine and cry and show their emotion and be weak. And then you've got the other side that says you cannot cry, you must always be strong, and you should look at women as an object. So again, there's got to be a happy medium here. I think there once was, but now because of, again, I agree, there was an overreaction of the feminist movement to make men weak. I don't agree with that either.
Yeah.
I just wish we could come to a place where there was a happy medium where
Who gets to decide the medium? You? Of course.
or people could just
Now, this is just, you're not behaving the way that I want. That's what she's saying.
be human beings who could have a gender role but weren't married to that gender role in absolute.
Okay, so now she's saying we could be human beings who would have a gender role but not married to that gender role. So that's how the conservative women get around. They want the clout and the benefit of appearing traditional without doing any of the hard things like putting away their media careers, raising their kids, not having a nanny do it, or not putting their relationship on the internet. I don't blame them. Do you know what I mean? I mean, like, they get paid to talk. I'm not even saying they shouldn't do what they're doing. I mean, if your wife could get $3 million a year to do a couple news shows and you work a little like that, it's 2025. But it's not what they're selling, right? That's the point.
There's got to be a place for that. I would certainly hope.
Yeah. Andrew Wilson, when was the last time you cried?
When I had a death in my family.
How long ago was that? If you don't mind me asking.
Many, many, many years. yeah, many years. I don't know, maybe a decade, something like that.
Right. You haven't shed a tear in a decade.
I don't think so, no.
Would you see it inherently as a weakness in a man to
Yeah.
remote?
Well, yeah, men, listen, you don't want men to fall to pieces in crisis. You're the head of a family, you're the head of your household, and also you're the heads of nations. You have a moral obligation not to fall to pieces. In fact, I would say you're duty bound not to. You need to be able to control your emotions, and you need to be able to attempt to control them at all times. It's not to say that you're not going to lose control. Nobody's perfect. But I think that the idea of the stoic man is a much better prospect for the idea of like this leftist that I'm arguing with next to me on the panel. I would not want to be that guy, that person who just cannot control their internal emotions. They can't do it. And unfortunately, again, this is through the viewpoint of the feminine prism, that it's only through empathy, right? Empathy first. And it's like, no, it's not always about empathy. It's also about reason. It's also about logic. It's also about understanding that we live in a carnal world full of warring tribes who are always killing each other. And that's part of the human condition. You can't afford to have your men losing control to emotion.
Okay, James, when was the last time you didn't cry on a day? That's not the question.
I haven't cried today. But I did cry yesterday, and I think it's okay to cry. And it's funny that you keep trying to go with me and saying that I don't have control of my emotions. I think I have incredible control over my emotions because I know what's upsetting me and when, and I'm able to.
Oh, they're so funny.
My name is Rose Hershey. We live in Millersville, Pennsylvania with my husband and our 3 boys. When we moved in,
Fuck about that. Did we make it to 5 o'clock? All right. Did a little more than an hour and a half today. That's fine with me. Making our way through this leather. Making our way through the leather. Try to get to a stopping point right here. Yeah, that thing don't look too bad right there, boy. That shit don't look too bad. Started getting them bright white highlights on there. Trying to make it pop out a little bit. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show niggas. I'm liking it. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking this is good. Like, that is good. Well, we'll get back on it some more tomorrow. I'll do it again tomorrow. We're definitely gonna have to change this wiping towel tomorrow. There's like no more clean spots on it. Yeah. La di da la 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 la. Okay. All right, that bad boy looking good. Oh, the knees. Got old man knees. Damn. All right, broski. I sure appreciate you hanging out with me today, man. You know what I'm saying? Oh. I had like one of the little small clips in there. That was a big one. All right, guys. I'm out of here. Thanks for the company and checking out the progress on the painting. We're making our way through this leather couch. It's just Monday. Wow. As soon as I turn the light off, I don't like that part. What was I looking at? This right here don't look right. That don't look right. You gotta soften it up a little bit more. All right, wait. I definitely can see that a little bit for some reason. All right. It's Monday, so we have the rest of the week to work on this couch. We got that done today in about 2 hours. So if we just extrapolate, we get that done Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Oh man. Hopefully we can finish the couch by the weekend, and on Saturday we can work on the skin tones. Then there won't be much left from there. I think the couch and her pants are probably going to be like the hardest things left to do. So once I get this couch done and run through her pants real quick, that sounded weird. Anyway, yeah, the wood grain, the rest of the wood grain and the books, I don't see them taking that long. So like I said, I wanted to try to get this done in at least the next 2 weekends. So this weekend and the following weekend, I want to try to wrap this up. So stay tuned, and we'll continue to be diligent on this piece so we can hurry up and get to the next one. I hope y'all have a good evening, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace. We out of here.